You've tuned into The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lain. Gardening, it can be challenging, but with these simple insider tips, you'll reap huge rewards. Now, let's tune into today's Mountain Gardener with Ken and Lisa. And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener. Your host, Ken Lain, here every week, talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. We are in the thick of it. Things are growing really fast right now. My tomatoes have doubled, maybe tripled in size. I had to cage it. In fact, I think I'm going to stake them this weekend before they get so full. I can't even get a stake in between the cage kind of stuff. They're going to be big boys. So tomatoes, they come in two types of tomatoes: determinate and indeterminate. So indeterminate are the really big ones. They're indeterminate how big they're going to get. They're going to get as big as you and I. They get, and you need a cage and a system to really hold it together. In fact, not even just a round cage. I mean, they make square ones, more sturdy, bigger, fuller. I didn't have that years ago when I started my tomatoes. So I still have my round, kind of not good enough cage. So I put a big old stake in the middle of it. I just tie it on as it gets into the season. It works. Eventually I own one of the largest garden centers in the state. I should just invest in a better cage. Oh my gosh. But it's that frugal farmer in me. I just can't, not right now. So anyway, I'm preparing. They're growing fast. I don't have fruit forming yet. They're starting to show some flowers. But in a month, I'll start to see fruits on them. So this is when they're growing really well. You want to take advantage of now. Push them, fertilize them like crazy, juice them, get them growing. I'm hitting mine with Flower Power. It's a water-soluble food once a week. Now that's twice as often as I recommend, but the growing season you can take advantage of it right now. As soon as we start to reach in the 90s, plants start to shut down. They kind of grow in the morning and then they kind of go, oh, it's kind of hot. I think I'll just wait here till it cools off. And then it cools off. They start to grow a little bit at the end of the day. And then it gets so cold at night, or we get a monsoon rain where it gets chilly and then they shut down again. So this is kind of a sweet spot right now. Now through, I don't know, middle of June or so, the next 3 to 4 weeks, this is the golden time for gardens, flowers, vegetables, herbs. Really juice them, get them growing. Because when June hits through until the monsoons hit, so middle of June to the middle of July, somewhere in there, the rains start to come. They stop growing. They just sit there and they look at you. They might set some fruits, but they're not growing as fast. It's because of temperature. It's because of nighttime and the heat during the day and nighttime temperatures. You're just in the perfect spot. My Calibrachoa or Million Bells petunias and my petunias and my pansies and my geraniums. The flowers are doing the same thing. They're growing like crazy. It's beautiful. And I'm hitting them a little more often right now because you can kind of coax them into blooming more, growing faster. And that Flower Power, I just got my couple of water cans. I just kind of go out there in the morning. I go, I'm going to make you happy. I'm going to insist that you grow. And I'm pushing them. I mean, I've got a radio show, podcast, garden columns. I'm the spokesperson for gardening in this part of the Southwest. I have to get behind the microphone and tell you how, I just picked my first tomato and it was so good. It just melted my mouth. My first cucumber. I've got my bouquet of iris, which I do, in the house. They're just so stunning and striking. I need to brag about it just a few days before you do. So it's like there's some bragging rights with gardeners. We like to compare and share our successes. And so I start with a little bit larger plant, whether it's a flower or vegetable, and I really fertilize them well right now. So they are at full happiness and wanting to grow. And so I'm seeing it right now. I am really seeing them go, and you can do the same thing. Right now, you're starting to see the summer blooming things starting to wake up. So we've had calls for the last 2 weeks going, oh no, I think my grapes are dead. Oh, I think my desert willow died. Oh, my chase tree, my smoke bush, you can go right down the line. These are folks that they do not like spring. They have no interest in spring. They're going to wait till when it's cold out. If there's even a risk that it might be frosty, they're going to stay there asleep until it's warm enough. And it's kind of soil warmth related. So finally, the crepe myrtles have leafed out and they're starting to bud. Finally, the rose of Sharon's or all of the hibiscus families are starting to leaf out. Finally, the smoke bush are starting to really push on that nice, rich, thick foliage, a light dusting of flowers to them. All those hardy, drought-resistant, heat-loving plants, they like summer. So they're famous summer through fall. This is when your lilacs are pretty well done at this point. There might be a few flowers left. Yeah, that's fine. But their big show, they're done. They'll just be big green blobs from this point forward, unless you've got a repeat blooming variety. The roses are looking tremendous right now. This is a good time for them. Your summer plants are waiting for it to get hot. They're looking forward to 90-degree weather. They want that. And when they do, they just take off and ignite with new flowers. This is a good time to be putting your summer blooming types of plants in the ground. So that would be the most famous of all of them in the country, crepe myrtle. Crepe myrtle is this rich foliage with these almost fluorescent, even the white flowers are fluorescent. There's a new black diamond series of crepe myrtles we got, and the foliage is black or very dark, rich crimson. And so if you take any flower against that rich, deep foliage, it is magical. I mean, it's like, whoa, where did that plant come from? Mars? What is that? Where did you get that from? How did you grow that? It just creates conversations that those dark foliages, there's a black diamond foliage. There's several series at the garden center right now where you got this really, even without flowers, you're going, wow, that's a pretty plant. And then it blooms. The most traditional crepe myrtles, they're going to be your green, just green foliage. That's the typical southern Texas, all that whole area, where it's hot. They're just green and a pretty flower. That's good. There's still fluorescent foliage, but boy, take a look. If nothing else, you would just want a day trip for entertainment. Look at the black foliaged crepe myrtles. They're cool. I mean, really neat. They're also starting to dwarf them. So a lot of your tree crepe myrtles, who needs I don't want a tree against my fence line. I've got trees. I want shade trees. I want something bigger than a crepe myrtle. I want something to soften up a shrub. Gets about head high, chest high to hip head high. That softens up my fence line. And I don't want it to go into tree form. I want it to stay in a shrub form. There's a whole series of crepe myrtles that we've dwarfed. They don't get to that 10, 12, 15 foot height. They just get chest high. Much easier to maintain. They need no maintaining. They don't need pruning or anything. They just do their own thing every summer through fall. The same thing with a lot of the hibiscus are in. So the hibiscus, I should break that a little bit. So Rose of Sharon is our most famous hibiscus. So it's a shrub, a tall shrub, probably head high to even it's up to 12, maybe 10. If they're really old, 12 feet tall, big bush with hundreds, literally hundreds of hibiscus, smaller hibiscus flowers. They come in a lot of colors, blues, whites, pinks, a lot of colors. There's the tropical hibiscus. This is like Florida, Phoenix, Southern California. They're the ones with the flowers that are as big as your hand. They're bright colors. Those also grow here, but typically we'll treat them like citrus or some of the others. We'll grow them in a container, have them out there on the patio or the deck and then we'll bring them indoors. They're tropical. That is, they don't like to be below 50 degrees. You got to protect them, but there is nothing like a tropical hibiscus. They're like, whoa, that's pretty cool. But if there's an easy way to transition them indoors and just enjoy them. So there's perennial varieties. They'll winter over for us. And then there's also tropical varieties where you need to protect them or bring them indoors for the winter. And you'll find both of them at garden centers right now. So just know where to ask if you need help figuring out which one is which. Got a lot in store for this show. Be right back, though, after this. Watters Garden companion plants in May are purple robe locust, Vining achevia, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and easy elegant roses.
Just plant these roses in a sunny spot and enjoy.
We've married the beauty of long stem roses with the easy care of shrub roses for landscape color like no other plant in the backyard.
Choose fragrant reds, radiant pinks, corals, vivacious yellows, and stately whites.
Extremely fragrant and only found locally at Watters Garden Center in Prescott. And we are back with Lisa Watters Lain in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions. Just what are neighbors talking about? And if the flowers are blooming in your neighbor's yard, it's going to be blooming throughout the neighborhood. And so I think there's some value in sharing that back and forth. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
Any interesting questions? Like, oh my gosh, we've been waiting for this one for a month. No?
I haven't seen anything outside the norm lately or heard anything.
It's May. Everything's gardening. Everything's animals, how to water.
Well,
there's bugs.
Yeah. Our first question is how to water.
Of course.
So Don is in Prescott. He has a peach tree that he's had in the ground over a year.
Okay.
So he was in talking. He's been watering 3 times a week.
Okay.
He said, no, only water 1 time a week.
Right.
So his question is that right?
Yeah. Listen, was he here or was he at the competitors? So if he's here. So we have a water guide. So anyone that's got a business card has a water guide on the back of their card. In the back of that card, it says for plants that are established, they've been rooting for over 2 years, had 2 seasons to actually flush their roots into the surrounding soil, that a deep soak once a week is optimal. Even when it's 90, it hasn't even been hot yet, but even in the summer when it's hot, once a week, a deep soak. So you're pushing that water through the entire root zone and then a little bit farther so that it's going deeper for those roots. This is especially important for you folks out in that heavy clay area. So the Dewey, Humboldt, the Prescott Valley, Paulden, you guys have heavy clay soil. And it takes a while for that. If you're watering the whole soil band, the whole root zone, it's going to take a while for that water to evaporate, to dry out. The top can look dry, right, but then you go down an inch, even a half inch, and it's very moist. You can kill a peach tree. Pitted fruits, plums, peaches, apricots, nectarines, they all like moist, but then they need to breathe. So if you're going to kill those varieties of plants, it'll be from overwatering. That's frequency. They never got a chance to dry out. So it's critical. I'd say no more, at least for the love of gardening, for the love of peach trees, water only twice a week would be enough. 3 is far too. That's every other day. It's going to drown. Yeah. It's not going to perform well. It's going to drop or shed its fruits as it gets too wet. And so I'd say, yeah, too much. I think you were fed a good line from the professionals at the garden center.
Okay, so remember that. All right, next question is from Alan in Prescott. He has, a large clump of aspen trees.
Yeah.
That one of the trunks of the aspen trees did not put out leaves, but it's sending up lots of shoots from the bottom.
Okay.
So he wants to know, is that aspen tree probably dead? And what should he do with the shoots? Will they do anything?
So this is very common for aspens. This is how they grow wild out in the forest. It's kind of, you'll just see some dead ones every once in a while. It's pretty common. Now, don't give up hope. Alan, don't go cutting that thing down yet. Test it first. And the way you test a branch to see if it is alive or dead, you take your thumbnail or a pocket knife or something, scrape the bark off. If the wood underneath that bark is green, that is alive. It will come out. It just got zapped by frost. Something happened where it was that one was stressed out and the others didn't. So it's crying about it. So it's late to leaf out. If it's brown underneath the bark or white, brown or white, that particular area or that branch is dead. And so if it's brown all the way down to the base, yeah, cut that off. And now that will free up your suckers, what we call them, the wild shoots coming up from the roots. They will just ignite with new growth. And by the end of the season, you'll never know that one of the branches kind of died back. But pretty common. We hear this pretty often, even with our own. I don't know why that happens. If an aspen tree gets stressed out at all, if it's a little bit cold in the winter, it loses a branch. When it's a little, I mean, gophers, who knows? Grubs could have gotten in there. Something happened where that branch got stressed and died over the winter and is not coming back. But luckily, aspens are hard to kill because they come right back from the roots and start taking off. Fertilize it, give it some 744 all-purpose plant food, and you'll get 6 feet of growth off that sucker. I mean, literally it'll go from a sprout to, oh my gosh, that thing's growing crazy. I am a gardener. Wow. So
I think
anyway.
it would be a good idea for them to look for grubs, make sure they don't have gophers, something going on.
Yeah, if you see mounds, I mean, the only way to really know it'd be a root thing is to take a hand trowel and just dig beside the root ball on the stressed out side. This goes for anything, not just Allen is aspen. Right. When you see a stressed out plant, take a hand trowel, dig down in there. If you see even one little white worm, you've got dozens, and that's a grub. So the larva stage of beetles are called grubs. And so when they colonize, they'll literally eat. I've seen trees blow over in the wind because the grubs ate all the roots off. It could be that. And if you have it, if you see that, come see us. There's a real easy grub killer. You sprinkle it on there, water it in, takes them all out like that. And one application lasts for a whole year. But I hate to just start spreading grub killers out there for sure. Yeah.
But it's worth checking.
It's worth checking. Look for pocket gophers. They like the taste of aspens, but that would be obvious. Allen would have said, I have gophers that killed one of my branches. He didn't say that.
Surprised. Some people they see something die. They don't really check out the surrounding area to see what's going on. So
gophers
get out in the garden and see
are underground rats. They all deserve to die. But that's coming from a Southern boy. That's just what we did. So you don't want rats in the barn. You don't want them in the shed. You don't want them in the house.
Okay.
Should I go into my Southern accent?
No. Let's move on to Sherry. She lives out in Chino. She's having issues with grasshoppers.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. She says in the past she's always used no-low bait, but she doesn't seem to be able to find it this year.
Yeah.
What are the other options out there for grasshoppers?
Yeah. So no-low bait, we've been selling that for decades. It's a great organic. It's also owned by a little family business, and the business burned down. They're trying to recover, but they're a small company of a very specialized organic. And so it's not going to be available in the marketplace. And people go, I'm going to find it online. Well, good luck. Yeah. And you better make sure you check the
expiration date.
Yeah, because if it's over like 60 days old, you don't want it. You're getting last year's leftover stuff. That's how you found it. So really what we're doing is 2 things. There's a spray. You can put it into a hose and sprayer. Just spray off those weeds, the back area where the grasshoppers are. Spray that and it'll become a barrier. It's called indoor-outdoor insect spray. I mean, that's it. It's very effective against grasshoppers, crickets, scorpions, blister beetles, but it's way safer than malathion, some of these nasty chemicals. So I would say spray that. The other one is we have a granular. It's called Turf Ranger. You sprinkle it out in the area where they are active. You water it in, and now as they cross that area, they pick it up. It's in the soil. It's living in the soil. They'll pick it up, and it takes out scorpions, grasshoppers, blister beetles, anything that crawls on the ground, slugs, pill bugs, all that kind of stuff. So I would say Turf Ranger if you want the long-term solution. Spread it out, water it in. If you want I want to watch them die and quiver before my eyes. And an indoor-outdoors bug spray, basically. Or come and talk to us. Sherry, come in here and talk to us. Stop emailing and asking questions. We want to see you. Bring a dead grasshopper with you. We'll show you how to kill it.
It's better to get them in the earlier stages.
Oh, yeah.
than when they get like dinosaur size.
Yeah.
So,
So grasshoppers are funny. They have an exoskeleton, so their shell is their skeleton. And so when they're small, they just shed that like a snake. They shed it and they have another one. They shed it. They just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And finally, it takes a shotgun or like air to surface to air missiles to take them out. They're huge. And those folks out in Prescott Valley, they're so fat and chubby, they can't even fly. I mean, they're huge.
Yeah.
I mean, you could barbecue them, feed the neighborhoods with one grasshopper. They're so ginormous. So there's a way to kill them. We can show you how to do that. Come see us.
Definitely.
That's it for this segment. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners. Be right back after this. Watters' companion plants in May are Vining Akebia, Indian Hawthorn, Prescott Sunshine Geraniums, and Purple Robe Locusts.
Incredible long clusters of purple flowers in May that look just like wisteria flowers hanging from this local bloomer.
The 8-inch fragrant flowers cover the tree profusely.
Super hardy and drought tolerant with a brisk growth rate of 2 feet in 1 year.
It's just the perfect backyard shade tree.
You'll find the shadiest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
So I've had a couple back surgeries and some injections and all that stuff, that lower back, L4, L5, S5, L5, S1, all that sciatica stuff. I mean, everyone goes, "Oh, Ken, you're so lucky. You get to dance around and play with the flowers." I'm actually a dirt dealer. And so plants come with roots, and they're heavy. And so I've kind of modified over the years where most of my gardening is done in raised beds that you can sit down on the lip, just lean in and just easier to get to, and containers, because they're just so easy to dig in. And then they're elevated. I mean, these are big pots, not little tiny things that dry out in an afternoon. I'm talking about large volumes of soil, because it's easier for me to get into and easier to garden. And I can travel, to go visit grandkids. And if something fails, volume of soil is a sponge. It holds moisture and food for that plant. And then an insider tip: I turn all of my containers, every one of them, into self-watering pots, even if they're not defined as self-watering. And here's how you do it. It's super, super easy. So you take a container. I like 14-inch or bigger. I've got some that are 3 feet across. I mean, these are huge. It's a container, but it's ginormous. And it's growing trees or big shrubs or a vine, or flowers, some of the smaller things. And so, but minimum is kind of 14-inch, kind of that, I don't know, it's as wide as you are and kind of as deep. And the bigger the pot, the more the soil, the easier it is to garden in. What I'll do is I'll take that new container and I'll fill it completely with Watters potting soil. So a potting soil is mainly peat moss, and potting soil is a challenge. It needs to stay moist, but yet breathe and dry out. So this is a razor's edge in a dry climate. So we make our own soils. It's organic, and we've scientifically tested the different ones. This is the recipe. This is the mix that grows the best for containers and our plants, whether it's in the greenhouses for our own plants or in your yard. It's the same soil, but fill that pot up completely with Watters potting soil up to about, I don't know, 1 inch from the top. I want to leave room to be able to water that some water capacity. If you leave soil too low in the pot, it looks funky. It's like, what, did they run out of money? Did they not have enough money for enough soil to fill the pot up? They got this beautiful piece of art called a ceramic pot, and they couldn't fill it with soil. No, you want it to be close to the top, but then have enough room to add to water it. And so I'll do that. I don't put anything in the bottom of the pot. Soil right down to the bottom. The container should have a drainage hole in it. And so that drainage hole, I'll fill it with soil right down to the bottom. And then as that soil swells up, gets water, it swells up. It doesn't fall out the hole. It actually keeps soil from falling out of those drainage holes. When you do that, what that does is I'll put a saucer underneath that container, and I'll water the plant until I start to see water seeping out of the bottom of the pot. I'll water it until that saucer is filled. And then what happens is as summer hits and it becomes very, very warm, that water will actually, the plant will wick the water back uphill, anti-gravity back to the roots, as long as it's soil from the root of the plant down to the bottom of the pot. And that soil can touch the water. The plant will actually, it knows what to do. It just pulls it right back up. So any container that has a drainage hole and consistent soil from the root ball of the plant down to the saucer's edge will do that. So you can turn any plant into a self-watering pot. And I do this for all of my plants. I mean, I've got roses and hydrangeas and trees. I've got some bigger pots. I've got some big saucers that I put underneath there. And it takes the edge off. It makes it so much easier. My tomatoes aren't going to wilt as much. My zucchini just keeps going. Hydrangeas never think about wilting. They just go, I'm blooming because I'm happy. Easy to turn any container into a self-watering container. Now, a big question I get, or mistake rookies make with new container gardening, is when you put a new container and you've got fresh soil. Let's say you just bought a new 14-inch, 20-inch, a bigger, beautiful glazed cobalt or oxblood red container. It fits your style. It looks beautiful. These should be pieces of art. And so you fill it up, you're going to plant it. Then you want to start watering your plants. How much water does it take to hydrate the plant and all that soil? I always think of it as a sponge. So if you take a sponge and put it into a 5-gallon bucket or a bowl, how much water will that sponge absorb? It's tremendous. It just always amazes me. And so I will water that soil. It's just like a sponge. Think of it as a sponge. It holds moisture for that plant around the root ball. And so it takes a tremendous amount of water. So if you've got a 5-gallon bucket filled with soil, and it's going to be sort of like filling a 5-gallon bucket with water. That soil should hold about that much moisture for a healthy soil, healthy plants. And so it takes way more than you think to initially get it hydrated. After that, the edge is off. So the soil it's absorbed all this moisture and it holds it there. And it releases it back to the plant or evaporates off after a bit. So think in those terms. I think it'll help you water those container gardens better, easier, more efficiently, just healthier for your plants in the long run. So think of your soil as a sponge or it's just a big old bucket. And how much water would it take to fill that bucket? That's how much water it needs. And you'll see the water trickling out the bottom eventually. All right, that's it for this segment. Be right back with more after this. Ken here at Watters Garden Center, and we had a new flower come in. It's one of my favorites. We got it last year as a test, soft launch. This year we went all in because it performs well. It's a new sunflower. It's called Sunbelievable. The reason it's called Sunbelievable is supposed to put 1,000 flowers on, 1,000 sunflowers per year. I don't know if it does 1,000, but it does hundreds and hundreds. I can tell you that. So this is done. It automatically sets a new flower by itself. So a new one's coming up. So it's always got more flowers coming up. Unbelievable flowers. Those Sunbelievable flowers, sunflowers, here at Watters Garden Center. Back with Lisa Watters Lain in the studio. She comes each week with some inspiration, just 10 minutes of nothing but her garden rant.
I never rant. I'm not a rant. Well,
you can go off every once in a while, but usually not on gardening.
It's on gardening.
It's on business or some other, why are they doing that way? Anyway, so that's where we run at a high level. So yeah. We know what high level is. I can't brag about ourselves. We're always better quality, better, but we're noted for being really good at what we do. And so when you go to a place and they say they're that and they aren't, you kind of go, doggone it, they let me down. So doggone it. Yeah. Anyway. I ranted.
To say I went off a rant a couple days ago.
Ken hasn't
forgotten it yet.
Yeah, don't call him out.
Not going to.
Yeah.
I'm just saying you haven't forgotten.
No. Gardening.
Yeah.
So what can folks learn, be inspired, do in the gardens that they can only come from you?
Only from me. Well, I wanted to let you guys know we are getting some more. So a lot of people have been asking, where's the cactus? Where's the agave? When are you guys getting those? And we always say, well, I like to come when it's a little warmer.
It's true.
So we have them. So all you people who've been wanting the cactus and the agaves and that kind of
The
stuff.
hardy varieties, not some
Yes.
cheesy Phoenix thing that's going to live for the summer and then die this winter. But these are hardy varieties for the
Sure.
mountains of Arizona. They're going to thrive for decades to come.
Decades.
I love it. I like it.
So the first ones I thought I would talk about. So most of the time, people don't think about growing the barrel cactus here.
Okay.
But there are 3 that would actually probably do pretty well up here. They might need a little, like we have a red fishhook cactus. So I've got some of those coming in. So we grow it in a container, but we bring it up a little closer to the house in the wintertime, give it a little protection.
Yeah.
And it does really well.
It's been years and years and years. It's a classic saucer bowl container.
Mhm.
It's scream style and selection.
And it's actually blooming.
It is, yeah.
It's
It's
blooming
kind of
right
fun.
now. It looks really pretty.
Yeah.
And then the golden barrel cactus, which a lot of people don't think there again can't winter over. We have a neighbor, couple streets down. He put barrel cactus in. I said, no way. Not gonna live, no way, not gonna do it. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Now he's got it in a hot, sunny spot.
Right.
He's got rock around it. So he's doing a little extra to give it that heat that it loves. But I would say you could do it.
Bright sun, reflective heat in a courtyard. That's where you have it. So for us, we just
Right.
insurance. Our barrel cactus is stunning. It's big. It's beautiful. It's
Mhm.
expensive. I don't want to lose it.
Right.
It's exotic. So I just bring it underneath the overhang at the front door. That's where it hangs out all winter. And then in April, I take it back out and it hangs out outside.
Yeah.
I don't have it on the irrigation. We just leave it there. When we remember,
With the water.
we water it. So cactus don't
Yeah.
need to be on the irrigation system. You don't need to
Right.
put some of these things on. Just throw it out there and think about watering it a couple of times a month. Not a week, a month.
Right.
It's more than enough.
So one of the other barrels I'm bringing in is called a long spine barrel.
Oh.
So it looked really cool. So I think it's definitely one to try.
Okay.
It's as hardy as the red fish hook that we have and the golden barrel.
Okay.
So I think it'd be a really nice one to try.
Yeah. I mean, you folks on the east side, the Jeromes, the Sedonas, you've got reflective heat, a courtyard where you built a wall.
Mhm.
And you've got heat coming in. Those are the places, those are the microclimates
Right.
where that sun warms it up really quick and it just keeps it toasty hot.
Mhm.
That's where they're going to come back. And it's the winter that will take them out. Or you simply overwatered them and they just exploded or
Right.
rotted with water.
So we are getting some claret cup or
Oh,
the
fun.
hedgehog. So that is definitely one. I mean, those are just native.
Yeah.
Here. You find them everywhere up on the mountains. And whenever I go hiking, I'm always running into them. They've been
Yeah.
blooming. They actually look gorgeous right now. So definitely a great one for those yards.
That's one too. You should warn people. So you can go to jail
Oh, if you go
for
to-
harvesting cactus
Yeah.
out in the wild. I mean, if you're doing it, don't get caught because they can get heavily fines. It's a no-no. So we even have to have them. If you harvest them from a ranch, you have to have them specially tagged. You can do it, but there's special hoops you have to jump through with the Department of Agriculture and that kind of stuff. So just be careful. I know some of you go and harvest those clear cup. Can't just don't have anyone see you do that. So anyway,
Just don't do it.
or don't
We have
come
for
get them.
sale.
You can buy them for $50 and have your own. Don't have to worry about it.
That's right. So we're getting some different prickly pears. We already have the Santa Rita, which is the small, has a smaller ear paddle
Yeah.
to it, kind of a purple color. So we have the Santa Rita and the Baby Rita. So we have both of those already in stock. We're also getting the Engelmans, which is the true native
Yeah.
for here.
That's a true prickly pear.
Right.
Harvest the fruits, make jams and jellies.
There you go. Used to do that as a kid. A lot of fun. We're also getting the blind prickly pear. Now,
That
don't
sounds.
ask me
Does
why
it have
it's blind.
glasses?
I don't
Does it have a
know.
white cane?
I'm like, why do they call it blind? I don't know. Just what they call it. So again,
Sounds like an insult
I
to.
know. And also one called the chenille. prickly
Oh,
pear.
I don't know
So,
that one. Interesting.
Should all be nice and hardy
Oh,
for
yeah.
here and do quite well.
That's exciting.
So what's I always say it wrong.
What?
The botanical for prickly pear. Apuntia?
Apuntia.
Okay.
Yeah. Or
I always-
Opuntia. Or Apuntia. It's
I think I
Opuntia.
always call it opportunity or something like that. So,
Just call it prickly pear. I mean, come on. Let's make it easy.
definitely. So some of the agaves we're getting in. Agaves are another one that there are so many varieties.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, not all of them are winter harvest.
That's true. Yeah, very much.
Very much so. So we're getting Queen Victoria. We are also getting the shark skin. It's
That's
actually
fun.
really cool because
Yeah.
it has like that pattern
Yeah.
on it. We're getting shark tooth.
I don't know that one, but it's got to be the same thing. Come
It's
on.
about the same thing.
Yeah.
We're getting one called White Ice, which is
Huh.
really pretty because it has the, I don't know what we call it, spine,
Yeah.
leaf, whatever. Has a white outline on
Oh,
it.
it's variegated. That's kind of neat.
So that's really cool. And then we're getting one called Dragon Toes. This
Don't
one
know
I
that
can't remember. We brought a couple in that we knew were going to be more indoor varieties, but you definitely enjoy them outside right now.
Yeah.
Put them in a container and then bring them in the wintertime and just treat them like a house plant.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. We do that with a lot of things. So why not an agave?
Mhm,
So a lot of folks want to grow the blue agave, which
Yeah.
is the great big one you see down in Phoenix.
mhm.
It don't winter up here. Trust me. I've tried a couple times. Of course, that's me. You can try it yourself, but you're not going to buy it from me and then have it die on my watch. Just kind of, I'm trying to sell things that I know will grow here, that we've proven ourselves and tried it. So another name for agave is century plant, because that entire family of plants puts on this huge flower stalk. It grows taller than you and I, just this beautiful flower, great pollinator. About every century is the myth. Not really every few years. It just depends. But I guess if left by themselves, once every century it'll bloom. Thus, century plant or century agave.
It just feels like a century. to me.
Yeah, maybe just feels like a century. Basically, that's why. Garden trivia, plant trivia. There we go.
So I was talking to a customer. They had one that's putting off its big stalk.
Yeah,
They start and they grow like feet a day.
yeah. You can watch them.
Anyways, they were watching it. Came out one morning, it was gone.
Oh, what happened?
They think a pack rat.
Really?
I mean, it was just like,
Oh,
you could see where it'd been cut.
well, pack rats can
Pack
do
rat,
that.
yeah.
Porcupines possibly
yeah.
can. I've never heard of them eating agave, but they do things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, javelina? No,
think it
they
was
don't do
javelina.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
really? I'm telling you,
never
all
know.
rats should die. Underground rats called pack rats, above ground rats, which are called rats, pack rats, they should all be gone. So that's all we got for this
okay.
segment. So thank you,
Sounds good.
Lisa, for the hardy agaves and hardy cacti
Cactus.
are here and ready to plant at Watters Garden Center. Be right back after this. Ken and Lisa Lain, the Mountain Gardeners.
There's nothing like tomatoes picked fresh from your garden.
Watters Mountain Tomato Collection are varieties proven to produce and thrive. Heirlooms, beefsteaks, cherries, naturally grown for local success.
Completely organic, never genetically altered, and utterly delicious. They're ready for your garden now.
You can grow your own this spring, and we can help. Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Shop Watters in-store or online at watersgardencenter.com.
If you have animals, I mean, javelina, deer, antelope, elk, all these different things, we are surrounded by the forest, and the animals come into the neighborhoods, and they're at night, they just get bored. It's so entertaining in these neighborhoods. Look what kind of bush this is. I've never tried one of these. What do you think, Bob? Does that taste good to you? Doesn't me either. Let's keep moving. Let's try that one over there. They're noticing things in your yard. Animals don't like herbally, smelly kind of things. And so lavender, salvia, sage, things that have a scent to them, thyme, they're not going to bother, or greatly less likely to go eat things. Now, deer have like two stomachs like a cow. So sometimes they'll eat things just kind of because they're bored and they're browsing through, and they finally realize, I don't like this. And they keep moving on. I planted one that was a cat mint. So if it's got mint, thyme, any kind of herbal name in it, you're probably good to go. Catmint's a blue perennial. So finally, the perennials are coming into the garden center. It's a late spring through summer. So now through June is kind of your best selection of perennials. These are plants that come back year after year. So perennial and permanent both start with P. Okay, so annuals they bloom like crazy for 1 year and then they die. They can reseed, but basically they're showstoppers annually and then they're done. Perennials and P are permanent, start with P. So they come back every year. Your best selection shows up starting now. And so some of them are over the top. So catmint is almost always exclusively blue, or kind of a light purpley color. So it's a pretty plant. It's mounting up to about knee high, kind of a big, just circle shaped perennial. It's really stunning. Animals don't eat it. Don't bother. It blooms a long time. It's a perennial pollinator. So your bees and butterflies love it. But there's a new one that came in that's white. I went, oh my gosh, I've never seen white catmint. That's pretty cool. And it's got kind of a blue, silvery blue foliage to it. So it's quite striking in the garden. I've got to plant one of those. And so you'll see a lot of good selection. In fact, if earlier in spring, what you have is a green blob in a bucket. And it's not blooming. It's not inspiring, but it has a great tag. So the growers, we make up for, it's not quite in bloom yet. You're going to love echinacea, but it's going to look like this in a month. So they give a great tag. And gardeners know I'll take it. But now you get to see it in full bloom. You get to see the hummingbirds flying around it. You get to see which ones are pollinators because bees and butterflies are over it. It's great time and everything's in bloom. It's inspiring. It's pretty. Another one that's sort of like that are your summer shrubs. So summer shrubs we hold off on because they're just so late to leaf out. And there's so many great spring shrubs. So it starts with winter blooming jasmine. That's the one that starts everything. It's this beautiful evergreen shrub, gets about chest high, and just has these stunning, just stellar yellow flowers, covered in yellow flowers. After that's done, the forsythia and quince start to bloom. And so we've got lots of those that show up. So I think I might have maybe six winter blooming jasmines left. And then when that's out, we're done until next winter. I've got 1 quince, maybe 4 or 5 forsythias. Then lilac. So I've got a few lilacs left. There's a lot more choices. So blues and whites and yellows and pinks, and there's different sizes. And then it's butterfly bush. And then it starts in with the summer shrubs. And now we're into the summer shrubs. And it starts with crepe myrtles, smoke bush, probably a local famous one. Smoke bush it's about head high, maybe a little taller if you just let it go. Great purple foliage. It's quite striking. But the flowers, we had some come in, it's just starting to bloom. The flowers hover above the foliage and it looks kind of smoky. From a distance, you go, is that bush on fire? Is this a Moses kind of moment? I went up to the top of Mount Ararat and there's the bush on fire. God's going to talk to me through smoke bush. No, it's just a pretty bloom that's famous here. So it comes in purple, green, and I think chartreuse color. But purple's the most famous. It just leaves out late. And finally, we're darn close. Next weekend's June. It finally starts to leaf out and show off. Crepe myrtles. You'd swear the things were dead first of spring, in April. And then it warms up in May and they just start leafing out and they take off with new growth. So they're not quite in bloom yet, but they're starting to bud up very heavily. Probably the most famous hibiscus that we grow here, it's called Rose of Sharon. So this is a shrub that gets up easily head high, and it'll go taller if you want it to. So maybe 9 foot at most. You can easily keep it down to about chest high or so, but it's just this beautiful vase-shaped bush. It's deciduous. It loses its leaves in winter, but it's got literally hundreds of hibiscus flowers that cover this plant. It has more flowers than it does foliage. I've had Rose of Sharon that are so laden with flowers. If you fertilize them right, they just almost fall over. You have to hold them upright. They're drunk with flowers. You're just like, oh my God, they're going to bloom right now. And they're crazy. It's a famous plant here. Now your tropical hibiscus, the big ones that get as bigger than your hand, they don't grow here. So they die out. They'll grow. I've got them, but they die out in the winter. So we sell them as annuals for containers, that kind of stuff. But Rose of Sharon has maybe a baseball size flower, so it's smaller than your hand, but pretty substantial. But it makes up for it in just sheer quantity. Just literally hundreds of them. So great choice in full sun. The more sun you give these plants, the more flowers you get. Another one that's famous. Now, we grow a lot of honeysuckle. So vining honeysuckle, it's a great one. So it's bulletproof. Animals don't bother it. Takes sun, takes wind. It climbs up trellises, pergolas, or a ground cover, spreads across and holds the hillside. We've probably got 6 or 7 different colors, from lemonade color to your traditional halls to purple, reds. Hummingbirds are going to love you because they love honeysuckle. But did you know that honeysuckle also comes in a shrub form, and it's equally as hardy? The same pretty flower, but it doesn't vine with these tendrils that crawl up things. It just has this pretty bush about head high. So it's about the same size as a lilac, crepe myrtle, rose of Sharon, and just quite handsome. It's a really easy to grow, bulletproof, pollinating, attracting, hummingbirds are going to love you kind of shrub. It's a good one for here. Another one sort of like this, the most famous of all, the snowball bush grow in Prescott Valley. I've seen some stunning. We didn't think that one could actually take our sun, but Prescott Valley has proved it. I mean, you get wind and sun out there, and it's just doing great. I think it's that clay soil you all have. It just holds the moisture, and just the plant adapts really well to that. So snowball bush, you folks from the East Coast, there's a shrub about head high. It's from the viburnum family. It actually has flowers on it the size of huge. Think of huge, like snowballs, white flowers, and it covers a plant late spring through summer. It's an amazing plant. Takes a wind, takes a sun, easy to grow, fast growing. So there's a lot of summer shrubs, and you're starting to see those show up along with the summer perennials. Now's the time to shop them, to enjoy them, to take them in, to take them. There's just a lot of choice and a good time to plant. That's it for this segment. We got more for you, though. Don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this. Watters' companion plants in May are vining akebia, Indian hawthorn, Prescott sunshine geraniums, and purple robe locusts.
Incredible long clusters of purple flowers in May that look just like wisteria flowers hanging from this local bloomer.
The 8-inch fragrant flowers cover the tree profusely.
Super hardy and drought tolerant with a brisk growth rate of 2 feet in 1 year.
It's just the perfect backyard shade tree.
You'll find the shadiest trees here at Watters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
So, did you know you can grow gardenia here in the mountains of Arizona? Now, I don't know. Now, this is broadcast all over northern Arizona, so I don't know about the White Mountains or Flagstaff. It's a bit cold up there. But at this, I'd say Groom Creek, 6,000 foot level and below, you're a zone 6, 7, 8. Oh, there are several hardy varieties of gardenia that grow quite well. Now, they don't get as big. So I've grown them in other parts of the country where they're getting head high, covered in flowers. They're beautiful. Mine are grown in containers because I want that gardenia fragrance close to where I sit or entertain or reading the paper or watching a sunset. That's where I want my gardenia, not out there in the gardens. I want them up here where I can enjoy them. So a container is a great way to go for that. And they're a nice evergreen bush. So they're just good with these white flowers. The flowers are the hardy varieties. They're a little bit smaller. So maybe they're silver dollar. I can't say silver dollar anymore. Who's seen a silver dollar in the last couple decades? Golf ball size, maybe a little bit larger. So that's where you're looking at. So, and you'll have pulsating waves of gardenia flowers throughout the season. It's not once and done. It's a smattering all the time. So that fragrance lingers throughout the entire growing season. They're quite amazing. I've got some that are in containers for 3, 4, 5 years. I've forgotten how old they are, and they are striking. Here's the insider tip with growing gardenias. Keep them out of the afternoon sun. They like sun, But that let's say from 2 o'clock on or 1 o'clock, so the heat of the day, the flowers can get sunburned. And so they'll start to open and they only bloom for like a flash, or the buds will actually drop off. If I can give them morning sun or even shade, those flowers stay on there, and there's more flowers on that plant. That's kind of an insider tip just from one gardenia grower to another. They are a little bit more expensive, not crazy, but they're going to live for years for you. So I like them even better than my annual flowers because they just look good in January. They look good now. They look good when the monsoons hit. They just look good, and they got the fragrance on them that's wild. Just stay away from those tropical varieties of gardenia. You check your zones. So we are a solid zone 7. I flirt very strongly with zone 8. That means we need plants and go down to, close to 0. So 10, 15 degrees. So well below freezing. So these tropical I don't even like to be 50 degrees. I like to be warm. I like a parka if it's going to be below, 65 outside. They're tropical. Those are made for like Hawaii, California. Here we need hardy varieties. And so if you get the right one, it can last and be fantastic for you for years. I do find I tend to fertilize them pretty regularly. I'm hitting mine with Flower Power. I make a water-soluble fertilizer that's like for flowers. I hit that every couple of weeks in my containers, and they will be nonstop pulsating waves of flowers. So I've got a couple by the front patio. We have a kind of a courtyard area that we'd love to read the paper in. The morning sun's perfect. And then I've got one in the back deck patio area. That's where the hot tubs and the grills and that kind of stuff are, the fire pits. We like to watch sunsets back there. And so I purposely place them out there where I can enjoy them. The flower's not big enough to cut and bring indoors, but that's not why I'm gardening with that gardenia. I'm gardening with that one for the fragrance where we spend a lot of time outdoors right now. Let's face it. And you can too. You can have a gardenia in your yard. Throughout the week, Lisa and I, we camp out here at Watters Garden Center, and we love talking to fans of the show. Watters Garden companion plants in May are Vining Akebia, Purple Robe Locust, Prescott Sunshine Geraniums, and Indian Hawthorn.
Wind is no problem for this Indian hawthorn.
Rose-colored flowers cover this spring bloomer that often repeat blooms in fall.
Dark blue berries adorn this compact bush that takes the wind and soaks up the sun like a native.
Perfect for low-maintenance gardens with virtually no pruning ever.
Every backyard should have at least one, and only found here at Watters Garden Center in Prescott.
For a more fruitful garden, increased success in the landscape that just feels better, then tune in daily to the Mountain Gardener podcast. Subscribe through your favorite podcast streamer or visit wattersgardencenter.com. Better yet, visit me directly right here at Watters Garden Center. Thanks for tuning in.